I'm Peter Whitehead, MDIF Director of Communications. I'm joined today by Mike Daka of Breeze FM in Zambia.
Thanks,
Mike,
Peter.
could you tell me a little bit about Breeze FM and why you founded it?
Yeah, Peter, Breeze FM is a privately owned station, as you know, a commercial radio station operating in rural Zambia. So it's really an experiment. The idea came about because I was at crossroads in my professional work. I had done active journalism for 17 years. I had worked overseeing media training in Zambia and the region for another 13 years. And I was thinking, what do I do next? But this is the time when the government liberalized the airwaves. And in my work, I was involved in assisting a few radio stations to set up. And so the question was, if I can ask other people to set up radio stations, why shouldn't I do that, for myself? But more than that, I think it was a good experiment because it's really trying to find out whether commercial radio can work and survive and flourish in rural Zambia and rural Africa. And 10 years down the line, we think the experiment is ongoing, but the results are also not very disappointing.
10 years of experimentation, that's a lot. Do you find that you need to experiment in your business in different ways as you try and grow your business?
Yes, indeed. From the very beginning, we did that, and what we find now is that we must continuously figure out new ways of doing what we are doing, both in providing the programming and content, but especially in trying to build the business side. Because mind you, when we opened our station, the idea of paid radio was completely alien and new. And so, the kind of products that you're going to come up with and the kind of clients that, who want to either advertise or indeed support the programming that we do. Yes, it's still experimenting, but let me say that it has worked well. I mean, our training, of course, which is my passion, has also continued. And looking back, I see a team emerging and the quality of programming improving, and indeed the business side also building up.
But what is it that you provide and provided, and you saw when you started the business? What is it you provide that other radio stations weren't providing?
Well, there were two radio stations within Zambia that were working in that area. One was the national radio station. The other, a Catholic-run radio station. So when we went in, we indeed carried out an audience survey, first to establish what they were listening to, what they appreciated, what they thought they needed or wanted, but they were not getting. And so our formatting, our programming has targeted that. Some of the things that we do, obviously, better than the other two, is provide local news and information. And we are regular with our news bulletins, and I think this whole idea of providing information on a daily basis to people who previously were ill-served, I think, has been extremely important. The other is basically looking at the very basic needs of our people. One is local music. The national radio last recorded music, traditional music, maybe 20 or so years ago. So we, as we produce programs, we record traditional music. And it means now we have a fairly large collection of useful music that wouldn't have been there before. But also I think we've given voice to people who previously would never have been spoken to or interviewed on radio. And what that has done is that people are talking about their own issues now, but they are also holding local government, traditional leadership, and even central government to account, because they are raising issues about the kind of services that they expect from government. They are even challenging traditional leadership about some of the decisions that chiefs are making, unheard of. But this is happening now, and I think because we are local, we are the preferred radio station instead of the national radio. Because we provide such a wide range of programming, again, we are preferred much more than the Catholic radio station. So we are definitely the dominant channel of communication in our region.
I read that you ran some reports on is it tobacco auction
Indeed.
locally,
Indeed.
and that you really had a positive, tangible impact.
Indeed, indeed. Well, because ours is an agricultural farming area, peasant farming that is, and two main cash crops are tobacco and cotton. And what tends to happen is that at the beginning of each season, the tobacco companies or indeed cotton companies will set a price at which they will buy the cotton at the end of the season. And we've had instances where midway through the season, the price changes because of fluctuations in the value of our local currency against the US dollar. And in a situation like that, radio is the only option for our people. For instance, in this case, they came to the radio station and said, because of the change in price, they were not going to sell the tobacco at that new price. The authorities from the tobacco company came to the radio station and said, okay, we will consult with our organizations, regional head office in Malawi, and see whether anything can be done about the price. Meanwhile, the marketing season was delayed. Later, and you can imagine these negotiations between villagers and multinational companies were taking place without the two of them coming to sit around a table, but all using radio. In the end, the price was raised, not to the original level, but raised it was, and the farmers said, okay, we will sell our tobacco. All were happy, but only because the radio helped this dialogue to take place, which previously was not possible at all.
And what role have MDIF had in your business recently? Because we haven't worked together for long, but...
Indeed. We started working a few years ago, but it's been tremendous because when we set up the station, we had a limited coverage area. The government licensing gave us an output power of 1 kilowatt only. And 1 kilowatt gave us an average radius of 120 kilometers. That meant out of the 8 districts that are in our region, we were able to cover 4 reasonably well, 2 partially, 2 not at all. With MDLF support, we've been able to extend our geographical radius to an average of 300 kilometers. That means now we cover the entire region very, very well. We spill over into 2 other regions, and we also have an audience now in Malawi, very comprehensive, and Mozambique. So the size of our audience has been more than doubled, really.
Well, I wish you well with your experimentation.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, Mike.
Thank you so much, and we hope to do as much as we've been doing, and thanks to MDLF, we're able to do much more.
Thank you.